Okay.
You ready?
Here we go.
Okay, we have the case of plaintiff Stephen Carpenter versus defendant Engine Lab of Tampa. Steve, what is your complaint against Engine Lab of Tampa? Why are you here today?
Hey, good morning, Your Honor. Yes, sir. As you know, as you read in the complaint, there's a dispute on the amount I paid for repairs on my vehicle and the amount that I was estimated initially to have the repairs done. I was experiencing some internal issues with the engine on my 2000 Pontiac Trans Am. It's a 5.7 liter LS1 motor, and I called Engine Lab, David Deegan, for an estimate on what it would cost to fix the vehicle and repair the car. That was on July 27th, on or about July 27th, 2012. And at that time I explained to him what I was experiencing, the problems I was experiencing with the vehicle, and at that time he gave me a verbal estimate over the telephone for $4,800. I considered his estimate, and on August 14th I had brought the vehicle in to his repair shop to have him assess the vehicle, and actually with the intentions of having him to initiate the repairs on the vehicle for the quote that he had given me and what he had promised to fix on the vehicle. At that time he had a chance to assess the vehicle, he had a chance to go over the vehicle, he had a chance to disassemble parts on the vehicle, and he informed me that there was a new estimate. He had discovered some things that were some additional things that he might have to do with the vehicle, and it was now no longer going to cost me $4,800. The new estimate was $557.78.60. Now that was a written estimate. It was signed. I was reluctant initially to sign it because I was quoted the $48,000. He explained to me in detail that why he was charging me the extra money than what he had quoted me on the phone. He basically his reasoning was, all things considered, he had a chance to look at the vehicle. There's going to be some extra miscellaneous parts that he's going to have to put on the vehicle, some extra hoses and whatnot, and some of the things that that's going to cost some extra money. So I agreed for him to initiate the work at that time, and I left the vehicle with him at that time, and I had actually put a down payment, which was half of the cost of the repairs for him to initiate the repairs. And that payment, that initial down payment, was for $2,889 for him to get started, which was going to leave me a balance of $2,889.60 upon completion of the repairs and upon pickup of the vehicle. Okay, so the vehicle is in Mr. Deegan and Mrs. Susan Deegan's care for about a month. During that time, I had called David Deegan and spoke with him about maybe putting in a different cam into the motor.
When you say, just a point, when you say about whose care it was in, say Engine Lab of Tampa. Don't
okay,
say
it was in the care of Engine Lab of Tampa.
Right.
Okay, and David Deegan, Susan Deegan's repair shop, Engine Lab of Tampa, was in their care.
Okay.
During that month period of time, I had called them, and I had inquired about having a high performance cam put on there since he already had the motor disassembled and apart. He didn't want to act on it at that time. He said he would call me when he reached that point, and that we would work something out in the future. He was still in the process of disassembling and redoing the engine, whatever he was, what we agreed to do, internal reconstruction of the motor. Okay, so I figured I was going to hear from him, and a couple of days later after that, I give him a call. I knew that I had an issue with a turn signal socket. I wanted to get an estimate what it would cost for him to repair that for me. He told me it would be roughly $425 to repair the turn signal socket. I declined. I rejected that proposal. So we moved on.
Okay, now that included more than just, there was the turn signal, the fog lamp, and something else. So it was more than just, you just need to clarify it was for like for however you want to work it.
Okay, well, yeah, I didn't really understand what it was for, but he told me his whole assessment of the electrical problem was going to be $420. I did not wish for him to proceed to do the work on the vehicle because I thought it was
for the right turn signal, fog lamp, and
he didn't mention anything about a right turn signal fog lamp. I just asked him for the socket on the turn signal. He didn't mention anything to me about the fog lamp, the turn signal light bulb, or the fog lamp, or the headlamps, or anything like that.
Did he fix that?
No.
There's nothing mentioned of it.
I'm just saying that because you're going to say $400 and he's going to say $400 for replacing a socket. What?
Okay.
The judge is going to
I
jump all over
understand
you
that.
like
Well,
that.
I just declined it. That's over. We moved past that now. At this point now, I'm waiting for the repairs to be done on my vehicle. I'm waiting to be able to pick up my vehicle. I had an alternative vehicle to drive while I was waiting for my other primary vehicle to be fixed. Okay. Now, on September 10th, I received a phone call from Mr. David Deegan over at the Engine Lab of Tampa, that the repairs were completed on my car and it was ready for pickup. And I do believe that was on a Friday. It doesn't. I believe it was on a Friday. No, it was a Monday. Yeah, it was a Monday. And so I informed my friend that I needed to ride down there. My friend Douglas, he's here with me today in court, that I needed to ride down there to pick up my vehicle. He went with me down there to pick up my vehicle. And at the time when I went to pick up my vehicle, we went in. It was sort of late. It was after closing. It was close to 6 o'clock. We went in. He sold me. He sold me on the fact of all the repairs that he did on the car. He informed me of all the work that he did on the balancing, so on and so forth. Then he hit me with a price that was more than what was originally quoted. He hit me with the price of $65.
Is it in front of you?
Yes, $6,501.75. I disputed the price because I wasn't informed. I was not informed of that price, that it was going to be more expensive than what the quote was. I was not informed in writing. I was not informed by telephone. I was not verbally informed. It took me by surprise. I didn't agree to it. I disputed it with him. He agreed to take $150 off of the total price. I still did not agree with the extra charges, the overpayment, or the overcharges. And at that point, his wife Susan, they started getting very aggressive. She started getting very hostile with me, and they were very threatening. They said they were going to take the parts that they had put on the car, that they some of the parts that they installed onto the car
for the extra cost.
For the extra cost off the vehicle, and they could not assure me when I was going to be able to pick up the vehicle at that point. That I wasn't able to get the vehicle back that day, and they assured me that they were going to take the parts off. They didn't assure me when I was going to be able to pick it up. To avoid any other confrontation or altercation, they were taking it to a level that I was not willing to go. I went ahead and I made the payment to them at that time. I had not even test drove the car. I was feeling very pressured. They were backing me against the wall. I made the payment. They assured me the car was like new. After making the payment, they handed me the keys. I got in the car. We took off out of the parking lot. I had my friend Doug follow me out of the parking lot as we were pulling out onto 78th Street and then onto Highway 60. The car was making all kinds of noises, like a major exhaust leak, popping, and all kinds of weird sounds. I noticed smoke in the distance in the rear view mirror and the side view mirrors, and I immediately tried to call them. They didn't answer. I turned around. I went back to the shop. They were just getting ready to take off. I pulled in. I was a little bit hostile. I said, hey, this car's not fixed. It's still smoking. It's making all kinds of noises. Can you reimburse my debit card? I'm not paying for something that's not fixed. She was very hostile, told me she wasn't going to reimburse anything, that leave the car and that they would handle it. I left the car with them, me and my roommate, me and my friend Doug. We drove away under the good faith that they were going to fix it right. I had paid $6,300 for something that was not fixed, that I wasn't driving. I was out the money under good faith they were going to fix it. I waited a week later or so, which was
about 9/17.
About 9/17, about a week later, they called me. 9/17, 9/18, they told me that the car was ready for pickup and to come down there. And me and my mechanic from my neighborhood, we went down there, we assessed the vehicle, we took it for a test drive. The smoking issue was gone. It was still making a popping noise, and they explained to me that they were waiting on a part that was going to eliminate that popping noise. And I said, okay, and I drove the vehicle off, and it was, about a couple weeks later, they told me the part came in. I drove it back, they installed the part, it wasn't popping anymore, the vehicle's running fine ever since. I'm satisfied with the repairs on the vehicle. I'm not satisfied with the overpayment and the overcharges. So once I drove the car for about a month or so, and I realized that the car was running in a sound condition, in a sound way, it was sometime in October, in the middle of October, the end of October, beginning of November. I called them up. I explained to them that I had there was a dispute in the amount that I was charged and the amount that I was quoted, and the difference of $572.55. That there was that difference, and that there was that amount of money was in dispute. I explained to him I would like to come in and talk to him about it, and I want to play a tape for you. This is the voicemail that I got from Susan Deegan.
And one thing, when you mentioned the $572.55, say that is the difference between the written quote and the amount that you paid.
Well, yeah, the $572.55. That is the difference between the written quote of $57.78.60 and the amount that I paid, which was $63.51.75.
Right.
Okay, that's the difference.
That explains to the judge where the number comes from.
Okay, that
clarifies it.
I understand. That definitely is. I wanted to sit down and talk to him about it, see if we could negotiate it and get compensated for the overcharges. And this is the voicemail I got from Susan Deegan. If you allow me, Judge, I'd like to play it for you.
Okay.
We cannot make any appointments today or tomorrow. There have been some things that have come up, so we'll just have to get back with you in a couple of months when we have some free time. Sorry.
A couple of months.
Couple of months. When we have some free time.
Right.
In other words, we're not going to call you.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I got, and I called her back after I received that message, and I explained to her, hey, look, I'd like to sit down and talk to you. I want compensation for the extra money that I was charged, $572.55. or I'm gonna dispute it in small claims court. She's told me, quote unquote, you do what you got to do. And so basically that's what brings us here today, Your Honor.
Call your witness.
I'd like to call my first witness. This is Doug Toller, a good friend of mine, and I would like to present Doug Toller. He was with me through the whole situation. Actually, he followed me down and gave me a ride down there. And Doug, give your version of the story from when we walked in to the repair shop to pick up the vehicle, kind of just a timeline of the story of events of what happened. If you could tell the judge for me, please, on my behalf, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, please do.
Your Honor, my name is Douglas Toller. I'm a friend of Stephen Carpenter. I provided him with a ride in my car to Engine Lab of Tampa to hopefully pick up his car. We walked into the main office of the shop, talked with David Deegan and Susan Deegan. David Deegan went over the details of what was done by them to do the repairs, went into the details of the things they did to balance the motor, high performance, like high performance work or something. Swore up and down that the car is fixed, that it will not smoke, it'll run like new, won't have any problems. They both agreed that it is fixed. David Deegan even went and got a box, retrieved a box from one of the shop labs in the engine bays areas, and that didn't come out right. But anyway.
It's okay. You're doing good. They know what you're talking about.
He retrieved a box of old parts that were removed from the engine, uninstalled, that were replaced, and he went over the knock sensors and showed the broken harmonic balance bolt, spark plugs, and reaffirmed with Stephen that the car is fixed and it runs great, will not smoke, will not have that problem, it'll run like new. I suggested, Stephen was pressured to make full payment on the price. They both said it has to be paid in full to deliver the car that day, and they pressured him into making a payment, or he can't take the car. So he went ahead and made payment. I suggested to Steve that he take the car for a drive to see whether or not it's fixed. We went to the one of the engine bays where the car was at. Again, David Deegan confirmed that the car is fixed and will not smoke. We went for a drive. Steve drove the car. I followed in my car.
Well, Doug, we forgot to say about the dispute on the. What about the dispute of the price that was taking place in the office before we drove the car?
There was a disagreement on the cost. The written quote was $57.78.60. That was written on paper that was signed August 14, 9/10. About a month later, when we went to get the car and Steve pick up the vehicle.
Well, basically, there was basically what you're saying. When we went in there, they assured us the car was running like new, and that everything was fixed, and there was a sound running motor, and then there was a dispute on the price.
Yes.
Regardless, there's just a dispute on the price. As far as the figures go, I'm not sure that you really know what it is, because I have that information. It's
right.
personal to me.
You can't answer that.
I can't answer that. Yeah.
But basically, Doug, I just want you to confirm for me here today that
there was a discussion on the overage of the cost.
Now, when I wasn't agreeing that there was overage of the cost, now, do you recall them, Susan being hostile? Do you recall her threatening to take some of the parts off of the car, that I wasn't going to be able to pick up the car, that there was going to, the parts that they installed on the car were going to be coming off the car?
Okay. David Deegan mostly remained calm. Susan Deegan became upset and loud, very loud.
Boisterous or loud?
Very loud, yes, boisterous, very loud. And they threatened that, you know, if the extra money was not going to be paid, if only the $58.78, if the written quote amount was all that was paid, they would remove parts from the car, you know, new parts, and put original parts back on to get it back down to that written quote amount. And they were very obstinate about that. She was very loud, yelling, and just so that Steve could pick up the car, he went ahead. He was pressured to pay the full amount. So
He seemed like he was pressured.
It seemed like he was. Well, I witnessed that you were pressured.
Yeah.
That's what I should say.
Okay.
You were. I'm not saying. No, you were pressured.
Okay.
Because it was frustrating me, and I was just hearing what they were saying.
That's all you can say. You can't speak for him.
Right. It frustrated me, you know, watching him, what they said to him.
I was calm.
Yeah. Stephen remained calm. So I suggested he take the car for a quick drive, and I can follow and see how the car works.
But remember, you guys paid and left.
We already paid.
Yeah.
We paid.
So don't mention.
Yeah.
I would not mention about taking the car for.
We left with the vehicle.
Yeah.
We paid for the vehicle. We didn't take it for a test drive.
Right.
Without taking it for a test drive, upon the rest of
you
the
would take
pressure.
it for a test drive before paying for it.
We didn't.
We did not.
We did not.
It was paid for.
We were driving away in the vehicle.
Right. We were driving.
Or no, you were he was
Oh,
driving.
no.
You were following behind.
Yeah. So we left with the vehicle. David Egan reaffirmed that the vehicle was fixed, does not smoke, and would not smoke. And Stephen drove the car. I followed in my car. Basically, as soon as we got onto 60, Stephen got onto 60, and the car started smoking out of both exhaust pipes. He turned the car around, did a U-turn, and drove the car back. Caught them before they had just left. And he had his conversation with them, and then he left the car there and got in my car, and we drove away in my car.
Okay.
Okay, Doug. One thing that I want you to maybe, if you can, I mean, I don't know, but you said it was smoking. I don't know. Do you recall it making any popping noises?
Yes, it was making very loud noises.
Okay.
I had my windows down, you know, just to make sure if it was making any kind of noise it shouldn't make, that I could hear it, and it was popping and cracking.
Okay. Yeah. So the car wasn't fixed. Yeah. The car wasn't.
It wasn't a little pop or crack. It was, you know, very loud pop and crack. More than once.
Okay, well that's why we're here, you know, I mean, that's why we're here, folks, you know.
Really?
Welcome to the show.
All right. So.
Okay, so now this is the final, in closing, Your Honor, in closing.
Yes.
Yes, in closing,
Okay.
Your Honor.
It's been 25 minutes already.
Yes.
So.
This is basically what we're going here, okay? The phone estimate was $4,800. The quote was $57.78.60. I paid $63.51.15. That leaves a difference of $572.55 plus the filing fees. Filing and fees $325. I'm asking for a judgment of $897.55 from Susan and David Deegan of Engine Lab, and I want it now.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't say that.